Hello, everyone, and welcome to MediaMelt, the show where we talk about the movies and TVs that are supposed to melt our mind, or in the very least, try to. I am, of course, your host, Dylan Strickland, and today, let's talk about the new Jordan Peele-produced Candyman. Here with me is Andrew Miller, horror/TikToker/actor. How are you doing, man?
I'm good.
Also here with us is actress and horror enthusiast Katie Mark. How are you doing, Katie?
Thumbs up.
I'm just going to give you guys a breakdown of how the show is going to go today. We are going to be talking about the first three Candyman, yes, including the third one, which came out only as a DVD. Before we talk about Candyman 2021, they all will be timestamped in the description, so you can skip to wherever you would like to listen to down below. I also want to remind you guys that we are officially on Spotify, Apple Music, and Google Podcasts. Basically everything under the sun, your podcast listening app of choice, we are there. And that is going to do it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And Andrew, what are your thoughts on Candyman 1992, man?
Okay. So I have a few opinions on Candyman 1992. I thought that Tony Todd carried the entire movie. I thought he was awesome. I mean, Helen was like fine, but Tony Todd is really, really good and specific as Candyman, and I really like his performance. I think that there's a really slow build to.
I'm sorry, I didn't expect you to come away from any of these movies saying Tony Todd. Wow, that was so. I didn't expect you to be like Tony Todd carried the film. That's so.
Okay,
crazy.
so here's my reasoning. Is that Candyman in of itself, the movie, is extremely theatrical. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like an opera, like it feels like a play. Okay. And so I think for that he's doing a great job. He's very, very character actory, and I think it's fun. I like it.
Okay.
I think it has some really interesting statements that I'm about, like the way that the Black community is perceived and how Black stories can be twisted and villainized and things like that. I also I would say overall I enjoyed it. Would I watch it on repeat or again within the next 6 months? Probably not. It's good, but it's not my favorite horror movie I've ever seen, or anywhere close to my favorite horror movie I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I get that. Did you? So okay, I kind of see what you're saying with the play aspect. Is it? What do you mean, like the bonfire at the end and shit like that? Like everything with it, or just?
Yeah, I would just say the generational passing down of the story is very theatrical. The performances are theatrical, and then it follows a very interesting plot structure. I heard that, I don't know how true this is, but I read somewhere today that the writer was loosely inspired by Phantom of the Opera when he wrote Candyman.
Oh, no. I can see that.
You can see it like bleeding through.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Got you. What about you, Katie? What do you think of the first Candyman?
I thought there were a lot of really funny moments, which is what I appreciate the most in old horror movies. It was really interesting. Like there's some quotes that are really as they would say, sussy baka.
Oh my God.
like when they introduce what's her name? The neighbor, the one with the baby, the main woman. Like not the main woman, not Helen, but the one who had the small child.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever her name was, which I would remember in another life. Anyways,
the one, the mom. Right?
Yes, the mother who lives in
who gets her dog's head cut off.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So when they're first introduced and she and Helen first meet, she says, "What do you think about us people? What are you gonna think, that we steal, we gang bang?" And I thought about that for days after I watched this movie. It was just very brazen of them to address racial concerns in such a weird way, because I feel like that's not how any so that stood out to me, not in a positive or negative way necessarily. I I liked a lot of it, and I liked a lot of the effects I thought were really fun. But I think the third act of the movie dragged so much, and it felt like there was no change in pace for the entire last like 30, 40 minutes.
Well, see, I kind of agree with you. The third act falls short, but I don't think it's because of a pacing issue. I cannot stand it when horror movies do this. They do it ended in my least favorite way, where the story just like doesn't end. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of just being like this is the end of the movie, it's like a footnote for the other film, or like what they expected would be another film. Like they're like Helen. He oddly says her names 5 times in the mirror and then she dies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what do you think dragged the pacing down in the third act? Do you think it was just monotonous?
I don't know. It's just like there were no memorable moments for me in the last 30 minutes of the movie. And I felt like I was just waiting. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I mean, I liked like the end where they get to the bonfire and that whole part. But like up until,
I was going to say you didn't like the bonfire? Yeah.
No, I really like that part. It reminded me big Revenge of the Sith vibes when she like crawls up and her head is like
I know, that's what I was thinking too.
I was like, damn, crispy Anakin Skywalker over here. But up until then, like I couldn't tell you any discernible moments from the last like 25 minutes of the film because it just felt like monotonous to me. At that point, I was like, okay, let's wrap it up. Let's get to the point.
That's fair. I see. I was surprised. I think I was more surprised about this one because if you look at the box office numbers, all of these films don't do good enough to make a sequel, like to warrant a sequel. So I was curious as to why there was sequels, and I think it's because the first one's actually like I actually kind of enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would have. I think this is the scariest because I wasn't really scared by the new one. But I like think that this one is like the scariest out of all of them. Like as far as like them trying to be horror goes,
yeah,
I think this is like the scariest one. Just because I feel like the way they do a bunch of, I don't know if you guys notice these, but they do like a bunch of like aerial shots, or they put a lot of space in the framing to like make you like look and search everywhere. Even when it's
and then I'm looking behind, and then I can't, and then I'm like looking in the mirror or looking like to see what's behind them, and there's nothing, and then I'm like.
I also like that they like half-ass kind of bait you into almost thinking that like Helen is just fucking crazy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they try, or at least they felt like they made it like look like. There are a few things I don't like. I didn't like that the score. The score is really weird. I don't like that it's like this weird ethereal.
Oh, and literally, okay, that's part of what I think made the third act so long because they did not change the music for the last 30 minutes. I shit you not. It was the same same music.
Oh, like it.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I was just like, this is so weird. I was like, well, I don't know if I didn't feel like in the first one, at least that type of like that music choice worked for the movie.
It felt very soft. You know what I mean? In the last exactly. Time where they bring in the they bring in Jigsaw's theme and they just like keep playing and it keeps building up. But it felt like there was no build and it just kept like it felt like they were trying to emulate. I mean, obviously way before, but
and I of course it has the classic naked white girl 80s 90s movie trope where
I like that part.
I feel like thank you, Katie. I'm glad you enjoyed that quite a bit.
I love objectifying women in movies. Love it.
I feel like every 90s/80s movie just like is like, you know what, just throw some tits in there for no reason whatsoever. The
first one wasn't as bad as the other ones were. As the second.
Oh my god, the second
it was so gratuitous. It was very.
Did you guys? We'll get there in a second. The third one, okay. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add about the first Candyman? I'm kind of surprised y'all and you guys enjoyed it because I thought this was going to be a little bit of a bashing party, and then I would have just enjoyed it.
No, the only thing that confused me about the end of the first one is that Helen climbs out of the fire like burning, and she's holding the baby. And the mom goes and saves the baby and then thinks Helen is a hero. But it doesn't undo the fact that she thinks Helen chopped off her dog's head and then stole the baby to begin with.
I know.
Like the funeral march, I was like, what?
I know, I didn't understand. I was like, why is the entire neighborhood this crazy lady?
It's like at the end of Santa Claus when there's like an entire neighborhood of kids looking outside. And I'm like, when did you get here? Why are you here?
It was like I think it tried really hard to be like, oh my God, this is so like crazy inspirational. Like, look at the entire community coming together. But it's just fucking weird. I don't know. Here's a little. I've got some fun facts for you guys, and I want you to tell me what you think. So in the original Candyman, 1992, rather than Tony Todd, Eddie Murphy was considered for Candyman. What do you think? Would that ascend to the best movie ever, or do you think it would have only made it worse?
I think I would have enjoyed it much less.
I think I would have enjoyed it more.
And listen to this. So, apparently, the role of Helen was originally going to be played by Sandra Bullock. So, if the casting was Sandra Bullock and Eddie Murphy, do you think better movie, worse movie? What do you think?
I think with Eddie Murphy, it would be a worse movie that would be more entertaining. Sandra Bullock, it would probably be the same movie.
It would be the same movie because I feel like she would take herself super seriously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought.
You know what I mean? Not a movie I wanted to take seriously.
I actually thought Helen did a pretty good job. I know you said you didn't, Andrew, but I kind of agree. Yeah, I don't think changing Helen would have made much of a difference. Especially like early 90s Sandra Bullock. I don't think she was quite the Blind Side level. But let's get into Candyman 2 and 3. We're going to talk about these as a unit because they're both equally interesting. What are your thoughts on Candyman 2 and 3, Katie?
Okay, so Candyman 2 and 3, so unmemorable, like as a movie. The only reason I remember is because I was specifically watching, like, to be critical and to take notes so we could discuss it and figure it out. However, if I was not doing that, I would have fallen asleep.
Are you talking about both of them?
Which I did a little bit. Both of them together. I fell asleep a little bit during the second one, so I had to wake up, go back and rewatch, and it was in the middle. It was so draggy. I mean, they're very focused movies, I'll say that. I mean, there's no room for subplots in the Candyman films, I suppose. They go straight into it. What was I going to say? In number 2, the moment that stood out to me most is I really liked when she clawed at his face and the bees crawled out of that wound on his face. I like that.
I feel like they spent their entire budget on that.
Because it was a great effect and it holds up so well.
Yeah.
I think it still looks great.
Yeah.
And in the third one, the only thing I really remember is when they have the trope of the two racist white guys, and they come in and he's like, Miguel, or should I say Miguel? And I literally so it was real sussy bonk.
Wait, who was Miguel? Oh my God, Katie, you're killing me. Who is Miguel? I can't even remember. Who the fuck is Miguel?
What's his name actually? Miguel.
Yes, I think so. And it was the art. Okay.
That's the third one, isn't it? I thought the art.
Yes, the third one. In the third one, I was just talking about them as a unit.
Oh, okay.
In the third one, Miguel is the guy who owns the art gallery.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Okay, I thought you were talking about the second one, and I was like, who the fuck is Miguel? Okay, I know who Miguel is in the third one. He's the one who gets the claw put through his chest. But that could literally reference 80 people.
Yeah.
But so you don't like them? You think they're very boring?
Yeah. When I say I'd probably never watch these again, I do mean it. Yeah, I would rewatch Candyman 1992. I'll say that I would rewatch that.
Yeah, it's like a nice horror, like Halloween film. Like you just throw it on.
It is. It's a great Halloween film.
Yeah.
I like the theme. I like the feeling. 2 and 3, so forgettable.
I agree. Yeah, I really agree. What about you, Andrew? What do you think of 2 and 3?
I agree. It was an immediate drop in quality from 1 to 2, and then to 3 was an even further drop of quality, which I didn't think was possible.
Wait, but more nudity in 3. What's the problem?
I think that going on to that, I think that the first Candyman, we had a scene where Helen is showering, but we don't really see anything.
Wah, wah.
And then we have the scene at the end. We have the scene at the end where the new girlfriend is in the kitchen cooking and she's wearing like a shirt that is completely see-through.
Oh yeah, good one.
But that's about it. I don't think that gratuitous nudity is needed for these movies. In fact, I think they hurt these movies. But
yeah,
it was the time.
I mean, I get it. Like sometimes if you're having like a horror scene in the shower and like you need like her to feel vulnerable, like I understand that. But like a lot of the times it's just like, okay, your dead mom shows up and for some reason she was killed in the bathtub. So every time she shows up, her boobs are just out there.
It's the trope that's in The Shining. It's the trope that's in It. It's the naked old woman in a bathtub. I don't know why that's like such a big theme. Yeah, it was unnecessary, but like in Nightmare on Elm Street, they have a whole bathtub scene and it doesn't feel like gratuitous.
Yeah, that's true.
That's an iconic scene.
It's just I think how you go about it, but it's like so obviously, especially in the third one, because I was keeping a tally. And there's not no, I didn't keep it. Oh my God, that sounds so bad. I wasn't like, oh, this many boobies in the movie. No, I was more so like, I was like, the movie doesn't go 2 scenes without having you see someone's tits. Like it just doesn't happen. So it's every 2 scenes and then one, or it's at least one and then one and then one and then one. Like I was just like, oh my God. Like, and this is straight to DVD. Like I was like, they didn't like what like I know these actresses didn't get paid a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's not like they got compensated well because it was a straight to DVD film. I was like, oh my God. I was just like, whatever. How did you guys feel about the story of 2 and 3, the overarching narrative?
So I did like what I did like. On number 2, I liked that we get a visualization of the lynching of Daniel Robitaille. I thought that part was interesting. I'm like, wow, would this be more interesting as the whole movie? No, probably not. But I enjoyed watching it and seeing, because that's kind of what I feel like the whole franchise is about, is racism and, the oppression of Black people in our society. I do
Poetically
think,
spoken
keeping
by
in mind,
3 white people.
Yeah, I'm not qualified to speak on the subject, but I think that keeping in mind, when we find out that Daniel Robitaille is the grandfather of the main character's mom, I was like, this is the worst casting I've ever seen. They could not be worse cast. She is a quarter Black. Right?
He's her grandfather. I'm glad. Okay, so in the third one,
her mom is the granddaughter.
Yeah, because it's
Daniel
1880.
Robitaille.
Yeah, it's 1880. So it was like 3 generations, right?
And the mom is blonde-haired, blue eyes, very European looking.
Yes.
And the granddaughter looks exactly the same way. I felt it was very poorly cast. Like there was no evidence of, they did not look like his grandchildren or his great grandchildren.
Thank you for clarifying this, because I thought, I didn't think in the third one, I was confused at the jump because I thought that in the second movie that was Caroline, but I guess in the second one that's her daughter, or in the third one that's her daughter, right? So that we see at the end of the movie.
So that's a good question. I was wondering the same thing because in both movies, it's 2 different girls and they're both like, I'm his granddaughter, or I'm his great granddaughter. And I'm like, who are you, cousins?
I was
that makes a lot more sense.
Oh yeah, I guess it would make sense if they were cousins, but I was just like,
or it was great grandfather and I don't remember the timeline well enough.
I couldn't. I was also like, is this the daughter that we see at the second movie, or is it like they looked at the second one, they were like, oh, nobody likes the second one, let's make a third one and completely detach it, but just like, because even the lynching scene is completely different. Like I was like, wow, there's just zero, and Candyman supposedly dies at the end of the second one. which I thought was actually pretty like for like 90s tech. I thought that was actually it like looked visually kind of cool where he like shatters into glass.
Yeah, and I actually did enjoy the ending of the second one with the little mobile whatever it is in the baby's bedroom with the little glass on it. I
Yeah,
thought that was fun.
and she like almost says it, and I was like, thank God, because I was like, they were on the verge of doing like making it like, oh, he's still alive, but instead they were like,
Yeah.
no, she stops her daughter from saying it. I was like, oh, I like that. I thought that was a
Yeah,
much
I liked
better
that
ending.
too. My least favorite thing about the movie is that they use all the black actors in the movie as jump scares. Anytime a black character walks on screen, the sound effect goes boom, and you're supposed to be scared.
It's so bad.
Oh man, I've got a couple of grievances with the second one. That being,
Hit us with that.
the acting takes a huge step down. I'm so like I don't mean to be rude to the people 20, 30 years ago, but my
If they're
God,
watching this, they should be able to acknowledge the fact that this was bad.
the acting is just like horrible. Especially, I think that it gets better as it goes along. But in the first like 30 minutes, I was like, this is atrociously bad. Like the acting is just like damn near unwatchable. But there are benefits. I think like you said, the ending's better. I think the score is a little better because they have instead of like the choral, it's more like a piano theme. And I think that's kind of like a little creepier. And I think um this is kind of I'll save it for later, but I kind of have a note for the whole franchise, and it kind of bothers me a little bit. And it starts in this film and is like continued in the new one.
In
But
2 or 3.
in both of them, and like all of them. Like in the first one, it's not that prominent because I didn't really notice, but in the second and third one, and then in the new one, I guess is the fourth one, really, if you kind of think about it. Um, I have an issue with like I have a central problem with these films that I didn't start realizing until the second one. But Katie, you said you liked did you say you liked no, Andrew said he liked the ending. Did you like the ending as well, or were you more of the second
Ending
one?
of the second one or the third
Yeah.
one?
No, the third one's abysmal. I don't even want to look at it.
I thought the ending of the second one, again, so forgettable.
Really? Just all around?
When I tell you, like, I don't even remember the end of the second movie. I took no notes on the end of the second movie. 0 notes. Did not stand out to me.
Let's focus for a second on, I don't know, did you guys end up ever finishing Candyman 3? Or could you like not stomach? You did? Okay. The end of this movie is some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like where she can't climb up this clearly climbable hill and she keeps falling down, and then oh my God, it's so bad. Like I don't understand. Like the dude she's trying to save, what's his name? David or whatever, is clearly dead. Like he has
Dave?
It's like David or he has a daughter or whatever.
Yeah, David.
But it's
Okay.
like, bro, he took a meat hook to like his back tendons.
And then they keep going.
I know, and he was sitting there for 2 days. Like he's not alive. Like he has to be dead. I don't. There's so much. I do like that the cops are a piece of shit, just because like that's one of my favorite like
Oink, oink.
horror movie tropes. I just love when they're just like absolute utter assholes. And I like I do like the ending where she gets to like frame it all on the cop. I thought that was kind of clever, a clever use of like the hook and everything. But he
They
was a
played
little
really interestingly with the new one too.
But there's this film, this third movie is just so overtly sexual. It like honestly damages the film. Like when she gets kidnapped and to keep her from talking, they put a literal sex gag ball in her mouth.
Elements of this felt very Saw. That and then the hook into the what is it, the calf muscle or whatever. That felt very Saw to me too, because wasn't that a trap in Saw as well?
I can't remember, but I mean probably.
Anyways, it felt
Well,
very.
you might be thinking of the tongue. Like the tongue attached. I mean, this is spoilers for the new Saw film, but when the tongue is attached to the train thing.
Oh, I love that part.
Yeah, I like that part too. Also, the sound. Andrew, I know we're huge Gordon Ramsay fans. Did you notice at the beginning of this movie that they use the like several times? They use the kitchen nightmares like.
Yes. Oh my god.
Like from the opening credits, I was like, oh, the budget. Like you could just
They probably did royalty-free sound effects.
That part reminded me of Lost because they have that sound effect in Lost a lot too.
was the Katie, you mentioned this, the cut on his cheek, was that in the third one?
That was in the second one because they were in the bathroom. They're in the bathroom. I'm positive of that. It was a bathroom, or it was like white tile walls. And she turns around and she cuts his face, and then the bees start coming out of the cheek, and I think the ears/eyes.
Wait, that was the bathroom with the white walls. I thought was the third one.
I know for sure it's the second one because I wrote it under my notes for the second
Okay,
one.
got you. Okay.
No, I liked all of like the bee practical effects. I thought looked really good. And who was it I was talking to about that? Like they were real bees, and that the addendum was like they get $1,000 for every time.
Yeah. So I think this is true.
Is that real or is that fake?
Take it with a grain of salt. I think it's true that for each bee sting Tony Todd had to endure for these movies, he got $1,000.
That's easy money. I would take that.
I know. So like per bee sting, I was thinking like I would like smother honey. Like I would fucking that's poorly.
I'd be like, oh no, don't sting me.
But I like you're right about the like him having bees in his mouth and shit. I like that.
I thought it was so cool, and it really looked so good. All of the bee stuff they did holds up so well, especially if there's somebody who has like a phobia like with insects and stuff. Mm-hmm. This would be a great film for them.
I just think so 2 is like an actual movie, it feels like, and then 3, I feel like it feels like
it feels very non-union.
The fucking yes, it does feel very non-union. The thing with it is my I think the standout moment, if I were to describe Candyman 3, I would just show you the scene where Candyman dies in the end, and it's literally looks like it's edited by like a fucking like high schooler, like just using like some shitty editing software, and it like goes wow, and the fire like blows up the film, and it's like like. I don't know. It's god awful. But let's quit wasting time talking. So both of you didn't like it? Not a fan of both of them? Both forgettable? Or Andrew, do you think 2 stands out or what?
Now that we're talking about it, I like 2 a little bit more, but I still would never watch it again.
I would say 3 was a little more enjoyable.
I said this is what I've got.
I disagree.
This is what I've got.
I felt like it was taking itself less seriously.
This is what I've got written down. For 2, I wrote wasn't trash, but really wasn't very good. And then for 3, I wrote semi-coherent story, but it would be better if I was completely and utterly trashed. Like if I was just so drunk that I couldn't like function. I think I would love the third film. But I
don't know that it helps.
I said, I'll say what I liked is that like 2 for me was like that sweet spot of like it took itself so seriously that I felt like it wasn't funny. It wasn't bad like because it was funny bad. I felt like it was boring bad. But 3, there were a lot of parts of it that were funny bad, if that makes sense.
I feel that. I understand what you're saying. Like the fucking you said did you like, okay, I know we're veering back, but you said you liked the bee effects, but did you like cosmetic wise, like the makeup and stuff? Or did you think it was like a huge step down?
I don't remember a lot like about the makeup and cosmetics in 3 specifically. I thought in 2 it looked pretty good. There were some moments that I was like, oh, I can feel the spirit gum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, I mean, with practical effects, there's only so much you can do without. I mean, especially when they made these, like we've come a long way as far as technique and makeup designers. And you could tell that makeup design was not a priority in the third film.
Mm-hmm. I see the thing with that, what you're saying about makeup design not being a priority, it really it really stands out in that one scene where Tony's floating, they're in the trainway, right? And like they're in the underground and he's floating towards her and he has his hook in one hand and no hook in the other. But in his one hand, you could clearly see how like his arm is like 4 times longer. So it looks like he's just holding like the hook rather than like it being like one of his arms is like literally stunted. He looks like this. It's absolutely absurd. But
like when Freddy's going down the alleyway with the really long wiggle arms.
But let's move into Candyman 2021. We'll start with you, Katie, this time. What are your thoughts on the new Candyman film?
I enjoyed the new Candyman film. I think I really enjoyed the screenplay, which was of course co-written by Jordan Peele. So I liked a lot of the dialogue. What are you laughing at? What's funny? My notes are funny. I really like the screenplay because I felt like these were characters that had a lot of characterization written through the dialogue, so that the actors had a lot to play with, and I immediately really liked the cast of characters that they presented. So I felt more investment in the characters than I do in a lot of normal horror films. So I really enjoyed that. I mean, I really enjoyed the whole aspect of like it being a little more social commentary-esque. Mm-hmm. It was not as horror-y and gory as I wanted it to be, but I really liked a lot of the representation. Like they had a lot of like great non-binary, queer, Black, person of color representation in this film, which I really, really enjoyed. And that was really cool. I liked that a lot. There's a lot of like really funny pieces of dialogue that I wrote down a bunch of quotes that were just like really funny to me.
Wait, you were taking these notes in the theater?
Yes,
she was.
Of course.
Oh my Lord. Okay.
So there are like a lot of quotes that I found really funny. The one thing that like really bothered me about this film is that they use the exact same trope 5 times, and it's I've walked into a room and now the door is locked behind me. They literally used it 5 times in this film.
I didn't even notice that. Are you serious? Yes,
it did, because I can count to at least 4 times. It was in the laundry room. It was in the bathroom. It was in the art gallery. It was in the
Oh, you're right. When he went to the no.
So literally they used it so many times.
And just turn the lock. Just turn it.
I wish that if they were going to stick with that, like they could have played into that and like a little more variation, just because it really stood out to me. It really stood out to me.
It was especially bad when Teyana Paris, I can't remember her character name, but when she gets captured right before the end of the film, and there's a lock on both sides, and you can clearly see that all she has to do is just like turn it. Like it wasn't like one side was locked more than the other side. But yeah, it was infuriating.
Yeah. So I mean, I will say though, one thing I really liked is having watched the prior Candyman films, they really like leaned back into the lore that they've created in the past few films. So I really do feel like I gained a lot of watching the prior movies in this franchise before this one, because I felt like I was getting so much more out of it than like just like Joe Schmo who went to see this movie because of all the cameos and spoilers. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. The video is called
great.
Let's Talk About Candyman.
Well, all the cameos, all of like the recaps, the details, the same names. Like I felt like I gained so much from watching because I already knew. And like when they introduced he was an artist, I was like, okay, great. So he's going to be the one who's going to follow like a very similar path. So I mean, I enjoyed that, and I felt like it built upon what the movies made without trying to like completely rebrand it, but also it didn't like it definitely my biggest issue like with the former few films is like that they take the trope of like small fragile white families being preyed upon by Black villains, and I hate that was such a big thing, and I was like, okay, I hope, and I knew, and I felt like they were going to handle it. I feel like they handled that in a really, really good way. So yeah, I feel like I got a lot out of that. However, like there were things that I did not put together as far as I don't even remember the main character's name, but as far as him like being the baby from Candyman 1992, I did not put that together. Like that got me because normally I like write down my predictions and like I was there, did not see that one coming at all. So I was like really pleased. I love it when a movie is smarter than me as an audience member, because so many times we'll watch these like shitty horror movies and like I know everything's that's gonna happen. I know what I would want to do to make it better. So I love when the production is smarter than the audience, and then it makes me feel like I get to sit back and like enjoy it a little more. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed a lot of it. Everybody who was cast in this movie was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked a lot about this movie.
Yeah, I mean that. Well said, Katie. Was there anything that you would say you didn't like walking out of it?
I didn't like the same jump scares over and over again. I didn't like
the locked door thing,
locking the door behind it. I also felt, well, this movie was great social commentary. It's the same thing of like, and it's like I loved Us too, like another Jordan Peele movie. Not to like compare them because they're not really similar at all, except for the fact that he's worked on them. But I wish it was leaned more into the horror, because based on the trailers, I felt like it was going to be more jump scare, more gore, more kills.
Yeah.
And I was a little dissatisfied on, I didn't feel like, and like, even though I'm never like really scared by horror movies, I feel like I can acknowledge when it could be scary to other people. And there were no moments in this new film. Yeah. And there were no moments in this film that I was even close to acknowledging that they were. Yeah. So it felt more like a thriller, and I liked that, but I was hoping it would be a little more intense.
Well said. Andrew, what about you? What are your thoughts on the new Candyman? Did you take notes like Katie?
I did not take notes. I was a good audience member. I really, really liked it. There were a couple of things. The door unlocking thing was something that bothered me.
I didn't notice that until you guys just pointed out, but now that I think about it, it's literally like it happens so many times.
It was the most egregious in what you were talking about, when I could literally see the thing to unlock it, and she just okay. I thought the shadow puppetry was really cool. Didn't know what it meant. Like, I don't understand the metaphor because I'm not into, It
was in the first one though, right? So I thought it was just a callback to that.
Was it?
Was it?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, because or it was the first one, right? Where it's the author on the book tour and he's going through and he's talking about it, and they have a moment of shadow puppetry there.
Oh, I guess they do.
So I just thought it was a nice callback.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. They've all blurred together for me.
I mean, I wrote down, I liked how they brought back the shadow puppet motif.
Oh. What scene was that in the first one?
It was literally the opener of the show.
I think it's the opener of the first movie.
Of the movie.
Okay.
I'd have to go back, but I'm pretty positive it was in the first movie, because I loved that a lot.
I thought the acting was really good. I came in thinking Tony Todd was going to be Candyman throughout the whole film, and then he didn't show up until the very end, and Katie and I were arguing the entire time whether the guy who was playing Candyman was Tony Todd or not.
He wasn't.
It's not. And Katie said, "It's him, I promise."
Wasn't it like it was like several different guys, wasn't it?
Yes,
it was.
It switched off between people.
Yeah.
I think that this is just an opinion thing. It's not, I wish
How dare
that
you.
I wish that Anthony, the main character, had kept his sanity like Helen kept her sanity. Like, we never knew if Helen was insane or not, because Helen always thought she was insane, whereas Anthony unravels, and then me as the audience disconnects because I no longer relate to Anthony, because Anthony is now like, I am insane.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I kind of feel that, because when he is at the critic's house and he's looking at the mirror, like, that was cool because you were like on the same page as him. But towards the end, you kind of like, when he starts smashing the mirror and shit, you're kind of like, oh, I'm kind of losing like touch with you. So I feel what you're saying there.
Yeah, definitely. I think that something I really enjoyed about this movie that we don't ever really see in the other ones is that the Candyman ritual kind of went viral, where like girls were doing it in school bathrooms and like they were doing it at the art exhibit. By the way, my favorite moment was, or one of my favorite moments was when the guy who ran the art gallery's girlfriend was getting murdered by Candyman, and he was like, "Is this real? Are you joking?"
I know. I was literally thinking that. I was like, this is exactly how I would react, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the same character though, who literally is like, I don't want you to die tonight. At least not until we fuck. He literally says that. He literally said that. So like, I could not root for him. And then he was like, and she was like, no, I want to stay. Let's do this thing. And he's like, okay, let's do it here then.
Yes. I'm sorry. I was kind of a little. I was like, if a girl was ever kissing my neck and saying like Candyman into a mirror, I don't know if I would be nearly as into it as he was. Like,
no,
bro, please chill out with that shit.
Felt a little sussy.
Oh my god, fuck off. I'm gonna fucking bleep every time you say that.
Please do.
All right, Andrew, continue what you were saying.
I think that's all of my thoughts that are coming to my head at the moment. I enjoyed it. There were a few things that annoyed me. I would definitely watch it again just to get more out of it, because I feel like I definitely missed things the first time around.
Yeah, I will say what Katie touched on, and the movie kind of feels like it rewards you for watching the other ones / like watching it again.
Totally.
You go back and now you're like, okay, now I understand that like every one of them is connected. Because like at first with what was her character's name? Teyana Paris. That's all I know her as, because she was.
I have it pulled up. Brianna.
When Brianna is like, they had the flashback in her dream, and her like dad basically jumps off the roof.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going on here? But I'm guessing now that was because he said Candyman too, right? And he was experiencing the same thing. Is that what they were kind of getting at?
Yes. So something that bothered me about that scene, speaking of, and Katie and I think both had the shared experience, is they didn't show the flashback well. So I thought the dude from the laundromat committed suicide.
Me too.
Because my brain didn't have time to process what was happening, and I was like,
yeah, like, okay, so this is something y'all are kind of touching on something. I was a little bit confused coming out of the theater as to like what they were trying to say. Like, I feel like the message got a little lost. They're saying that Candyman is a protector of the black neighborhoods, right? And like, that's because like in the movie, he only kills white people or like people who are criticizing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Black culture. So is that what they were going for? Is that Candyman is now like the protector? Kind of.
I thought it was like, the one thing I remember, they were like, oh, Candyman is how we deal with the fact that this stuff still happens. And like the idea that I thought it was more about like how about like Candyman is the idea of like, oh, it was, I don't know how to put it into words. I'm trying to think.
He's a figurehead for like black villainization being put onto one figure.
Okay.
Like when the officer was like, we saw the same thing, right? He went in there and was acting crazy and was murdered. He was putting everything on one person and turning him into the villain.
Okay, I see. Okay, I see what you're saying.
And how like they continue like through history, like continue to villainize black men, innocent black men.
So that way, the blame is now on Candyman rather than the black community. Is essentially kind of what it's kind of pointing at. That makes sense. I did like the twist where there are just moments in the movie that I really enjoy. Like one that sticks out is when the camera pans over him as he's like standing in the middle of the street, and it's like really pretty, and then you see like the gunshots go off in the building, and then he walks in there, and there's not really like any explanation for that until the end, and it's kind of like a like half-ass foreshadowing. Because like he essentially knows what's gonna happen, I guess, because he's like becoming Candyman. Yeah. It's just like weird shit like that, and I kind of agree with you, Katie. This film isn't scary at all. Like,
I liked when they cut his arm off, though. I really liked that. I just remember.
Yeah, it's gruesome. That's kind of what the thing is with it. It's like it's really brutal, but even then, I feel like it wasn't brutal enough. You know, and this is what I was
Yeah.
saying earlier with my kind of grievance with the whole franchise. I feel like these movies need to be made with a certain budget that allows you to see like almost every single murder, because in the second and third one, and in the no, less in the first one, because I didn't really notice till the second and third one, almost every kill is just Candyman shoving his like thing through somebody's chest, right?
Yeah.
And with the like girl in the hallway, I understand the significance of like focusing on like the black girl in the stall, like focusing on her point of view as she like witnesses the like white girls who are bullying her die. But I really wanted to see those white girls get fucked up, like not in a like in a like I'm crazy kind of way, but kind of like I want to see the gruesomeness of the murder, because we hear about it and then we see that like fucking puddle of blood still on the ground. And I was like, nah, bro, show me what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it leaves me wanting more.
I'm the same way. I want to see it.
Part of me wonders if they have to meet certain guidelines because they're children. Like if the movie wouldn't be able to even get an R rating, if it would have to go beyond that, if they showed children getting mutilated.
Well, we also see like in like It.
That's what I'm saying. But in movies like It, like where they get absolutely fucked up.
Like, arms being broken, like beaten, and you know what I mean? Like,
I guess that's different than ripping a kid's head off, though.
Right. And like in Hereditary, you know, she gets decapitated, but we don't actually see the head come apart. We see her hit the pole, it goes away, and then we see the head on the ground.
And it's like it's like a 2-second shot. It's not even like
but I could never complain about it because I think that scene is so effective.
Yeah. That scene is fine. With no, that scene is really effective. I just want to see it. Like I would say the creepiest scene to me in this entire film is the one where it starts out and you see the critic's like room, right? And it slowly starts zooming out, and then you see her just get like hooked up, and then it just fucking bangs her head against the window and then drags her across.
Oh yes, where they're panning out and you see the whole building. I like that.
It was fucking crazy, and I was like, oh my god, like this is what I want. I want to see it in a creative and fun way, because it like makes him all that more creepy, if that's what I'm saying. If we like,
well, what I wrote down after that is that scene had the same like effect and like feeling on me as it did in the end of Hereditary, when Toni Collette is like being moved around and like jerked around, and then she's like being forced to fly, like that like had the same feeling to me. I don't know why. Like the forced motion, like
gashing your neck out. Yeah,
that shit is so funny.
I just feel like I want to see it. I want to see the murder. That's why I feel like if you're gonna make one of these films, you have to have the budget to like show us that, because I feel like it helps the overall effectiveness of the movie. Mm-hmm. If we could,
did you like it overall?
I did like it. I just didn't. I thought it was good, but I thought it was good mostly from the viewpoint of like, not necessarily a horror film. I would say mostly from I like really appreciated the way it was made, if that makes sense. Like it's a really pretty movie.
The design was super smart too. Oh, it's the entire production design.
It's brilliantly made. Like it's beautiful, and I do like I'm saying, like the scenes that are the like my favorite scenes in the movie are the scenes where we see this shit happening. Like when he gets fucking hooked on his Achilles heel and then just dragged back. Like, oh, that scene's brutal to watch. Like you're just watching this man like flail for his life as he like pulls him along. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, while we're talking about it, when he's like becoming Candyman and that whole scene in the end, the ritualistic, it totally reminded me of the last 5 minutes of Hereditary. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between like the way they try to like. I know it sounds funny, but like the way that they're like, now he is the new this ritual. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That felt so similar to me at the end of Hereditary.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like little things like that. Like I feel like the most memorable scenes to me are the scenes where they kind of went all out. I think my favorite scene in the entire movie probably would have to be the elevator scene.
That was great.
That was great. That was really, really good. my favorite scare, at least, because I was like, oh, this is fucking like he's got mirrors all around him. This is fucking creepy. And like I love when they have mirrors in movies, but they somehow like it really pulls you in when they have a mirror and you don't see how they're doing it. Like that elevator's full of mirrors. You don't see a single cameraman in the room.
Yeah.
Like I love scenes like that because it's just like oh, how do they do this? But also like I'm super into it because there's no way they could have shot this, so you feel like you're there with him in the elevator. Like I don't know, I really like shit like that. Well, what did you guys think about the story, like the progression of the story, and I guess where it ended up?
I loved it. I thought it flowed so much better than any other Candyman movie. I mean, the first one was like slow and then a lot happens and then slow, whereas this one, like, it gradually progressed throughout and it just felt like, oh, this is naturally how these events would happen if this were to happen in real life.
Yeah.
I know Katie touched on it a little bit. Did you appreciate like the twists? Like if I were counting, I would suggest that there are 3 twists. One of them, of course, being that like Candyman is like a dude kind of that like keeps reoccurring in the Black community. And then also the one where we kind of figure out he's like helping almost. And then thirdly being, of course, that he's the kid. Did you feel like all those were effective, Andrew?
Oh yeah, definitely. I loved that he was the kid. And also I just saw a piece of trivia that this apparently is a direct sequel to the first one. It pretends the other 2 movies don't exist.
Okay. That's probably for the best.
Yeah. It makes more sense if you only watch Candyman 1 and then watch this, because him being the child makes sense because the child is the last thing we see in the first one and then he's the first thing we see in this one.
Yeah. That makes sense. I would also say it makes sense because mostly white people die in the first one, besides her friend, her friend. I would say that makes the continuity a little better. I like that there's an explanation for the candy, because in the first one it's not really explained like how this mythical being is like sneaking razor blades into candy. And I kind of like that they like kind of delve into that in this one. Yeah. Did you guys appreciate that as well?
I liked it. I kind of wish they had done a little more. I really liked that they used the song because like I liked that. I thought that was a really nice touch. I wish in the elevator scene that like it was a little more graphic with the razor blade and the candy. You know what I mean?
He's like, I got you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I wish he had like fucking sliced his finger open. You know what I mean? I think that could have also played like, there's so many characters, like, what is it? I don't remember his name, the main gallery owner, the super misogynist guy. He's like super theatrical in his performance and that he's like a really big character. And I kind of wish like when they'd open the elevator doors that like the reactions on those kids like were a little more theatrical. I think that would have put me a little bit more in the main character's like point of view.
Yeah, I feel that.
I think that could have been.
I'm trying to think, did you guys get like, okay, so there's this scene with the librarian, right? But she's super into him, and I thought that was going to come back at some point, but for some reason she was just overly like, it doesn't come back up. Like she just thought he was hot.
Are you talking about the critic, not the librarian?
No, well, I mean, a bit of both. Like he kind of has like, I thought that the switch, like when the piece becomes like infamously known because now there's a dead guy in front of him, and then also like in the library when he's picking up the files on Helen.
I didn't get that vibe from the librarian.
The librarian is super into him. How did you not?
I didn't pick up on it either.
I might have to watch it again though.
She's like nervous. She like knocks over the thing, and then she like goes down and is still talking to him, and he's like walked away, and she like takes off her glasses and like messes with her hair. Like you guys didn't notice? You guys didn't see?
No, I didn't. No, I was very focused on the critic relationship with Anthony.
Yeah, the critic relationship was really good. I like the scene where there's a lot of, I mean, you keep doing it, so I'll do it. Like Hereditary type moments where you just see like a man in yellow like standing there, and they like look back and then there's nothing, and it's like, and then they look again and it, like
that was a lot in the apartment scene when he goes over to her apartment.
Or even with Brianna, when she like wakes up and she's like looking at it and she like sees him, and then she like blinks again, and then it's just him standing in the
when
bathroom.
he's literally just standing in the bathroom with the water running, and she's like, "Hi," and he's just standing there looking at the sink. What was that about?
That scene was so weird. And then he like closes the door and he's like, go, can you just go away? Like, leave me alone for a minute.
What was that about? Is there some? I don't understand why that happened.
I think it was just him like fucking slowly going insane or whatever. And we were just like there to witness it.
Yeah.
Her brother, I loved his performance. I thought he was
Love him.
Standout. He was great.
He's so funny. He had some of the best lines in the show.
Yeah, he really did.
Movie.
Like when they're moving, when they're grabbing her stuff, and he's like, "We're here." Like, don't come down here, I'll fuck you up, or whatever he said. Like, I thought that was really clever. How did you guys feel about, like, I guess let's do favorite parts. What was you guys' favorite part of the whole shebang?
Give me a second to think about that and like give you my real answer.
No, process it, please. Andrew, do you think you have one?
Well, a little touch that I liked was just that the opening credits were backwards, and also the production logos were backwards.
Thank God. Because it's a mirror now, right? I understood that.
Right.
When I was first watching it, I was like, oh no, the projector's fucked up. Like, I thought they had the projector like flipped, and I was like, oh no, like the whole movie's gonna be inverted. And then it shows you the Candyman thing at the or it shows you like Chicago 1991 or whatever it said right at the beginning. And I was like, huh, that was weird. I wonder if that was on purpose, but it was on purpose. Okay.
Yes.
You guys, I meant to ask you, I was like, was that something that was supposed to happen, or did you guys see that too? But now I'm understanding that it's because it's a mirror, and I'm realizing I'm just a fucking idiot. But did you have a favorite part, or was that it, Andrew? The opening credits?
No, my favorite part probably would be it was just my favorite part probably would be with the art critic. The whole scene where they're
so cringy.
But when he's with his girlfriend, not art critic, the art gallery owner and his girlfriend. That whole scene from start to their murder was one of my favorites in the whole movie.
Yeah,
I thought it was fun. It's two funny characters that I didn't care about and I was okay with seeing die in a very fun way.
It's also a good introduction to like reintroduction to Candyman, basically. Yeah. What about you, Katie? What do you think?
I don't know what my like favorite like scene or part was. I mean, the things that standing out to me, I love when he's like really getting into the research behind it, and he's so excited to like to show his girlfriend the painting.
What did you get,
Brianna? And he's so excited because I feel that way when I get like super hyper focused into something, and I'm like so excited, and they're like, So I like really like that, and that made me feel like I could relate to him a little more. Mm-hmm. I like that.
What did you guys think about his art? What would you rate it out of 10?
Better than the art from the first few movies.
Yeah, I feel like
that. Okay. Also, the art in Candyman 3 clearly fake. We had a huge discussion about this. It is literally
a printed
photo. No texture.
The one that's in
her portrait in Candyman 3.
All of the art. It's literally just printed on flat paper, no texture. They didn't even try to make it look like it was a painting.
Really, I didn't notice. I guess I didn't. I guess I was so abhorred at the movie that I didn't notice that. It's like literally just a sheet of paper. Yeah, literally.
Literally just a sheet of paper.
That's fantastic. That's exactly what I expect from Candyman Day of the Dead.
No, I mean, I didn't mind his art. I liked. Yeah. I wish I could have paid attention to it in a little more detail.
The mirror thing was cool. That opened up and there was art inside of it. I would like to see that in real life. I thought that was cool. What
the fuck was her reaction to that? I was like, that's super unique. That's like the most unique thing.
And everybody was like, and everybody was like trashing it. And I was like, why?
Fuck. I was like, out of all, like, I was looking around at the art gallery. I was like, don't act like there's something better here. Like the fucking people that where somebody just clearly edited like the white lines across it. I was like, come on, really? You think that's better than the fucking LED show behind a mirror? Like, come on. Like, I don't know. I was like, oh, what the fuck ever. But yeah, I would say my favorite part, let me think. There probably had to be, I don't know. For some reason, I'm kind of a little bit of a sucker for continuity and things. So when Tony Todd shows up at the end and he like actually looks cool, I really appreciated that. Like when he's like floating and like the bees are all around his face and he just kind of has his arms up and then like the bees disperse. I also liked, I don't know if I liked
religious
this.
Symbolism.
Yeah, I don't know if I like this, but I did I like this? I don't know. I kind of feel weird about him just deciding I'm never going to the hospital ever, period.
Okay, so I wrote down something about part of that, and because he does go, right, and then they're like,
Oh,
what?
we don't ever hear what. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Anthony goes to the hospital, right, and then there's that whole thing. I said, what did I wrote down that the hospital thing was more of a tie of him not feeling like he has an ownership of the history that came before him, because it's like he didn't have any records or anything, right?
Well, he did because that's how he found out that he was born there.
Right. No, okay, right. Sorry, that he was born at that hospital and everything before that, and that's how he finds out.
That's right.
I liked that scene only because it made sense to me of a reason for him to find out that information, because so many times in movies they'll just allow the character to try to piece it together, and that didn't make sense. So I liked how they used the hospital information as a way to deliver that information to the main character.
Yeah, I wish they would have told us what he had, because the doctor was like, "Oh, we're so glad you got here because this is like the perfect they're like, oh, we're so glad you got here because your condition would have only gotten worse." And I was like, they really didn't give him anything to make his condition better, did they? Like they were like I think it's gangrene, right? It has to be some form
I mean, it was a super infected wound.
Yeah.
What was the original cut was
So
just a
gross.
bee sting, but I guess he like cut it open.
No, it was just a bee sting, literally.
Oh, the scene where he literally pulls off his. It's horrible.
That's fucking terrible. Like the effects on his hand and stuff were great, but I was like, give me more of that. But like when you're killing the people.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about the redesign? Because there's clearly a Candyman redesign. Are you all for it or no? Like the fucking fucked up face and shit.
Well,
I like the eye stuff.
you mean like the character Candyman, like the one that shows up with the hook?
Yeah. Well, because now he's got a yellow jacket now, which he didn't have in the other films, and he also has like, his face is like almost half eaten in a way.
I didn't like it at first, and then I realized, oh, this isn't Tony Todd's character. This is another character who has taken on the role of Candyman.
Well, it makes more sense to me because I mean he still has the hook for a hand, right? So we know that his like ghostly body still has the effect of when he was tortured and brutalized. So why would that body not have the wounds from his bee stings to death?
Yeah.
I don't know that the coat was as effective for me. I don't think I liked the tan coat. It didn't feel scary. It didn't feel
Really, like the yellow raincoat, you didn't like it?
It reminds me of It.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it does remind me of it. Yeah.
I didn't care for it, no.
Yeah, I think I like the redesign overall. I think there's like a thing is doing too much. Like it feels like I don't know. I feel like they were on the verge. Like if they pushed it anymore, it would have been like, okay, it's just scary just to be scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like that though.
But yeah, I sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like with Annabelle, that works for me. That doll's just fucking creepy to me. But some things like sometimes in It, I think too, like some of the design stuff, I'm like, oh, this is just like them just trying to be scary.
Well, the CGI, the CGI in It too, we don't even need to discuss. It's not even worth my time. You know what I mean? It's like, because I mean, literally the entire point of those vignettes is just to go back and give a jump scare and tell us one piece of information about the character that could honestly be delivered through monologue.
Yeah. Are you passionate about It too at all, Katie?
Yes, I'm very passionate about the It movies. I've seen them many, many, many times, far too many times.
I couldn't tell.
Not based on how I decorated our house with It themed decorations.
Yeah, no, but back to Candyman. I liked it. I didn't think it was great. I would want to see more gore if they continue. Do you guys think that they will continue? Do you think we're set up for a sequel? Because it did win the weekend. It made like $26 million like opening weekend.
No, I think it's a standalone film. It doesn't need another sequel. We don't need a fifth Candyman or I think it's done.
Really? You think that you think it's just its own thing? Like,
Here's the
I
deal.
hope so.
Producers might go, hey, let's make another one. That one did well. Jordan Peele is not writing a second Candyman. I guarantee it.
you don't think so?
No,
No,
he's not a sequel guy. I don't feel.
because he wrote everything about the message. I just don't know like what in this franchise about the message that they have conveyed to us through this movie needs more. You know what I mean? I have no questions. The
Mhm.
characters I cared about, I'm like, okay, I now understand what's happened to you. And I don't feel like there needs to be any continuation.
What if it
because I
was-
don't know what they could add.
What if it was a prequel to this one? No, not interested.
You already have Candyman.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and we kind of know all the secrets already. Like we know what's going on, basically. I can feel that. I can feel that. Maybe the only way I could see them doing it, I kind of agree with you guys, but the only way I could see them doing it is maybe if it was like he becomes a figure and then like it starts to become like a riot thing, like the community bands together and tries to like overtake
That
it
could
in
be
the
kinda
name of
cool.
Candyman.
Or maybe Brianna was pregnant or something. And
Yeah, maybe.
Not like I would like that, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I like that. Maybe, and then but I think that would diverge it a little bit less from horror or to a completely different genre of horror.
Yeah. Yeah, which I mean I wouldn't be awful if it was just like a
Yeah.
slasher thing. I wouldn't hate that. Like he has a cult and maybe speaking of cultish, did you guys understand the motivation of the other guy, the one that cut off?
No idea.
So confused. Why is he there? Why does he need this to happen?
Why did he kidnap Brianna? Why did he want it to happen? I get his whole thing. He was like, we need this community figure. But I was like, if he knows Candyman exists, why is he doing it? You know what I'm saying? And he called the cops. I was just like, I'm a little lost on his.
Yeah.
I was so confused.
Yeah. So
I
I'm glad
didn't
we can.
understand him.
I would say that maybe I need to see it a second time to understand that, but I would say that's also like one of my negatives right now because I was just like his motivation is a little bit unclear.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up and see.
But do you guys have any other thoughts on Candyman, or is that going to do it for y'all?
1 sec, I'm looking it up.
You want to look
Burke.
up and see what his motivation
Yeah, I do.
was?
Why did Burke kidnap Anthony? Burke is the most mysterious character, and this is from looper.com.
Okay.
He's the most mysterious character in Candyman, and even after watching it once, it can be hard to determine his motivation. So let's back up and recap his importance in this movie. This will make it a lot easier to understand the confusing final act. Prior to the climax, the last we see of Anthony is him returning to the abandoned neighborhood where he first discovered the art depicting Candyman. When Brianna goes to the laundromat to ask Burke where he might be, she's knocked unconscious and brought to a church. Brianna escapes Burke's nightmare church to a house that looks very familiar. Eagle-eyed viewers will recognize it from earlier in the film as the place Anthony sees in mention of Candyman. Here's
read the whole thing.
Here's the information, okay? Burke's history, which is inextricably linked to Anthony's discovery of and evolution into Candyman, is explained through flashbacks that occur sporadically. As a kid, he had watched Sherman Fields, a local man who had a hook for a hand, as he was murdered by the police.
Mm-hmm.
He later saw Fields come back as Candyman, and this flashback confirms Burke's genuine belief in the legend. Burke also knew that Anthony was the baby Candyman had kidnapped and waited patiently for decades to help him complete his transformation.
That explains nothing.
That explains nothing.
So yeah, now and you just brought up a question too, because Candyman killed his sister or whatever, and she wasn't white. So now I'm like, I don't quite understand Candyman's goals. Is it like...
So I understand that Burke believes in Candyman, but I don't know why he believes that Candyman needs to come back.
Me
Yeah.
neither. That's something I'm confused on. Maybe I need to see it again, or maybe it just doesn't make sense and they brushed past it real quick.
I don't get that.
Yeah, but I think are you guys good to go on Candyman besides Burke?
I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I liked it. Now I'm frustrated that
Yeah.
I can't figure it out.
All right. Where can people reach out and find you on social media, Katie?
People can follow me as Real Slim Katie 25 on Instagram or on TikTok.
Nice. And Andrew, where can people find you on social media?
I am on TikTok at the Spooky Roomies, spooky with the Y, Roomies with an IE.
Okay, and that will conclude our show. If you guys enjoyed this, like I said, please leave a like and subscribe. what is it, favorite us, like us on Spotify. I can't remember. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We're all appreciative of you listening and hope to have you back when we talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings here this next week. Like I said, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.